Myself P.Y. Lalith Chaitanya, lecturer in Commerce, Garment City College. Today's topic is joint stock company. Let us move on to the concept of joint stock company. With the growth of trade, industry, and commerce, the traditional forms of organization encountered many problems such as capital problem, management, and burden of risk and liability. This constrained the growth of industry and commerce. The evolution of company form of organization solved all these problems. Joint stock company as a distinct form of business organization developed soon after the industrial revolution in the England. The concept of joint stock companies was imported in India from England, and hence all our company laws are based on the company laws of England. The first act governing company form of organization was passed in India in the year 1850. Many changes have been introduced in it since then. The Government of India appointed a committee under the chairmanship of Sri C.H. Bhabha in the Government of India under the chairmanship of C.H. Bhabha in 1950 to review the said act. On the basis of the recommendations of this committee, the Indian Parliament enacted a comprehensive act called the Companies Act 1956. Since the commencement, it has been amended many times, in which amendment of 1988, 1990, 1996, 2000 and 2001 are notable. In 2013, the Companies Act 1956 was replaced by a comprehensively amended Companies Act 2013. The 2013 Act introduced significant changes in the provisions related to governance, e-management, compliance and enforcement, disclosure norms, auditors and mergers and acquisitions. Also, new concepts such as one-person company, small companies, dormant company, class action suits, registered valuers, and corporate social responsibility have been included. A joint stock company is a voluntary association of persons who generally contribute money to a common stock and employs it in some trade or business to share profits and losses arising therefrom. It is established by law and can be dissolved only by law. It is an incorporated association which is artificial person having a separate name, a common seal, a separate legal entity and perpetual succession. The liability of its members is limited. The company has a very large capital which is divided into smaller parts called shares. The persons who subscribe the shares are called shareholders and they are the owners of the company. They receive a share called dividend in the profits of the company. Joint stock company means a company formed and registered under the act of an existing company. An existing company means a company formed and registered under any of the former Companies Act, Section 3, subsection 1 under Section I, subsection I, Companies Act 1956. In a broader sense, a company is an artificial person, being an association of natural persons, recognized by law with a distinctive name, a common seal, a common capital, consisting of transferable shares and carrying a limited liability and having a perpetual succession is called a joint stock company. Let us move on to what are the characteristics of joint stock company. Various characteristics of joint stock company are under the characteristics of joint stock company. The first characteristic is legal formation. Here legal formation means a joint stock company comes into existence only when it is registered after the completion of necessary formalities as laid down by the Indian Companies Act 2013. So here a joint stock company comes into existence only when it is registered after the completion of necessary formalities as laid down by the Indian Companies Act 2013. A company comes into being by the operations of law and therefore it is compulsory to register a company with the Registrar of Companies. Thus, a company is created and controlled by law and can be dissolved by law alone. The second important characteristic of joint stock company is artificial person. A joint stock company is recognized as an artificial person. In the eyes of law, it does not exist physically, but it does not exist legally. It enjoys many rights of a natural person, such as it can acquire and dispose of property. It may enter into contracts through the agency of natural persons and it can also be fined for violation of provisions of the Prevailing Companies Act. Move on to the third point, that is a third characteristic of joint stock companies, separate legal entity. Separate legal entity means being an artificial person, a joint stock company has its own separate existence, independent of its members. It can own property, enter into contracts, and conduct any lawful business in its own name. It can sue and can be sued by others in the court of law. Here, the shareholders are not the owners of the property owned by the company and cannot be held responsible for the acts of the company. So, here, being an artificial person, a joint stock company has its own separate existence. It is independent of its members. So, the shareholders are not the owners of the property owned by the company and cannot be held responsible for the acts of the company. So, this is also one of the characteristic of joint stock company. Next, move on to the next point, that is a common seal. As a company is an artificial person, it is incapable of signifying documents for itself. It acts through natural persons known as the directors. Therefore, the law provides for a common seal which can be used as a signature while dealing with others or entering into contract. Any document on which the company's seal is put and is duly signed by an official of the company becomes binding on the company. So here, a company is an artificial person. It is incapable of signing documents for itself. So it acts through natural persons known as the directors. So in the company, the directors plays a major role. Therefore, the law provides for a common seal which can be used as a signature while dealing with others or entering into contract. Is known as common seal. Next, move on to the next point, that is perpetual succession. Perpetual succession means a joint stock company continues to exist as long as it fulfills the requirements of law. It is not affected by the death, lunacy, insolvency, or retirement of any of its shareholders or directors. Here, the shares of the company can be transferred to the legal heirs of the deceased members, or else the company enjoys a perpetual succession so long as the law is pleased with its existence, is known as perpetual succession. So here, a joint stock company continues to exist as long as it fulfills the requirements of law. It is not affected by the death or lunacy or insolvency or retirement of any shareholders or directors. So here, the shares of the company can be transferred to the legal heirs of the deceased member. The company enjoys a succession so long as the law is pleased with its existence, is known as perpetual succession. The next most important characteristic of joint stock company is voluntary association. A joint stock company is a voluntary association of group of persons. Any persons can become a member of the company provided he is competent to enter into contract with the company. He can also leave the organization by selling his shares at the stock exchange. Thus, anyone can enjoy or leave the organization at his own choice without any restrictions binding on them, is known as voluntary association. So here, a joint stock company is a voluntary association, or a group of association is nothing but a group of persons. Any person can become the member of the company provided he is competent to enter into the contract with the company. He can also leave the organization by whenever he want to sell the shares, he can sell it and he can leave from the organization. Thus anyone can join, anyone can leave the organization at his own choice without any restrictions binding on them, is known as voluntary association. So this is also one of the important characteristic of joint stock company. Next, move on to the next point, that is limited liability. Here limited liability means in a joint stock company, the liability of a member is limited to the extent of the value of shares or up to the unpaid amount of shares. It should be noticed that the shareholders are free of their of their liability the moment their shares are fully paid up. Hence, their private capital cannot be seized in the event of winding up of the company, for the payment of its debts is known as limited liability. The next point, move on to the next point, is democratic management. Joint stock companies have a democratic management and control. Although shareholders are owners of the company, all of them cannot participate in the management of the company. Normally, shareholders democratically elect their democratically elect their representatives from among themselves, known as directors, to manage the affairs of the company. The directors collectively constitute a board of directors. So here the meaning of this democratic management is, in the joint stock companies have a democratic management and control will be there. Although shareholders are the owners of the company, all of them cannot participate in the management of the company. So normally shareholders democratically elect their representatives from among themselves as a director. So director is a person who will look after the entire activities of the business and entire actions of the company. So from the shareholders also you can represent among themselves, known as a director, to manage the affairs of the company. So the directors collectively constitute a board of directors, is known as democratic management. Move on to the next point, that is transferability of shares. The shares of the joint stock company are freely transferable as per the choice of a shareholder. Formal approval of the company is necessary to regularize the transfer. The main advantage of this is that shareholder can sell his shares in the open market and get back his money without disturbing the capital structure of the company. This provides liquidity to the investors and stability to the company, is known as transferability of shares. The last important characteristic of a joint stock company is conflict of interest. Here, the conflict of interest means there is a conflict of interest in a company. The conflict may be between the directors and the employees, or between the directors and the shareholders of the company. The interests of various parties clash with each other because of the differences in the viewpoint and opinions of the members of the organizations. These may affect the smooth functioning of business of the company, is known as conflict of interest. Move on to the next topic in this joint stock companies, advantages of joint stock company. Here there are various advantages of a joint stock company are, first one is a large financial resources. Large financial resources means in the joint stock company is able to collect a large amount of capital through small contributions from large number of people. A public limited company can invite general public to subscribe for its shares through the issue of prospectus. They can also accept deposits from the public and issue a debenture to raise funds. Thus, a joint stock company is able to accumulate a huge capital which can meet the financial requirements of large industrial and commercial houses. And the second advantage of joint stock company is limited liability. Limited liability is also one of the advantage of joint stock company. The liability of its members is limited to the extent of the value of shares held by them. Means how many shares they have purchased, for that only they can take the losses. Private property of the members cannot be attached for debts of the company. So that's why it is one of the advantage. The personal properties cannot be taken into the consideration. It should be noted that shareholders are free of their ability of their liability the moment their shares are fully paid up. This advantage attracts many people to invest their savings in the company, and it encourages the owners to take more risk. This promotes the growth and expansion of the company, is known as limited liability. Move on to the next point, that is democratic management. The management of company is vested in the hands of directors who are elected democratically by the members of shareholders of the company. These directors as a group are known as board of directors. The board manages the affairs of the company and is accountable to the members. The members of the company elect capable persons having a sound financial, legal and business knowledge to the board so that they can manage the company efficiently. Is known as democratic management. Move on to the next advantage is economies of large scale operations. A joint stock company enjoys economies of large scale operations due to the availability of large financial resources and technical expertise. It is possible for the companies to have a large scale production. It enables the company to produce more efficiently and at lower cost. This also enables it to provide quality goods to the consumer at reasonable prices, which in turn helps in the smooth functioning of the business, is known as economies of large scale operations. Next, move on to the next point, that is statutory regulations. Statutory regulations is nothing but a joint stock companies are formed and regulated under the Companies Act 2013. It is established by law and can be dissolved only by law. It can be established by law and it can be dissolved only by law. It is obligatory for the company to maintain and publish books of accounts as per the provisions of Companies Act. This imparts transparency to the functioning of the company. It also builds a public confidence against public patronage, promotes healthy business management, and at a last facilitates the smooth functioning of the business is known as statutory regulations. And the next important advantage is research and development. Research and development requires a huge investment and has a long gestation period. It is the only a company form of organization that can afford to invest a huge sum of money on research and development for the improved process of production, new designs, better quality products, etc. It also undertakes research and development programs for enhancing the skills, knowledge, and attitude of its employees, which contributes which contributes towards better production and improved quality. The next one is in the research and development, next point is tax concessions. According to the provisions of the Income Tax Act, companies have to pay taxes which are levied at flat rates. These rates are lower than the tax rates for individuals in the higher income brackets. Thus, the company form of organization involves a reduced tax liability. A company set up in backward or remote area can enjoy tax holidays, tax subsidies, and tax incentives. Thus, a joint stock company is relieved from the burden of high taxation. It is known as tax concession. Next, move on to the next point, that is the board management. The company form of organization has a huge financial and physical resources. At the same time, its ownership is spread out to large number of investors. All major decisions in the company are taken over by the board of directors, who generally own a very small part of total share capital of the company. Companies and companies are managed by managers who are paid employees of the company. Therefore, the board of directors and managers can take bold decision for grabbing a new opportunities. The next point is contribution to society. Companies offers employment to large number of people. It facilitates promotion of ancillary industries, trade and auxiliary to trade. Companies Do not donate money for social causes such as education, health, and community services. So here, companies is offering employment to large number of people. It facilitates promotion to ancillary industries, trade, etc. Companies do donate money for social causes such as education, health, and community services under CSR initiatives. They mobilize small savings of people and direct them to product activities. Large scale production reduces cost and makes available of goods to consumer at reasonable rates. Thus, companies promote welfare of the company. The next point is economic development. The government gets good revenue on account of income tax, sales tax, excise duty, and other duties from the industrial sector. This revenue is invested by the government in the projects of social development. Development of companies also results in the development of trade, commerce, and industry. It also promotes foreign trade, which generates foreign exchange for the country. Thus, joint stock companies helps in boosting economic development of a country. Next, move on to the next point, that is a social desirability. The company form of organization has brought about democratization of the ownership of large scale businesses. The company form of organization has brought about the democratization of the ownership of large scale businesses. The capital of a company is divided into large number of shares of small face value. They were they are within the reach of common men. It can be said that company can provide means of canalizing small savings of individuals into productive channels. The next topic is disadvantages of joint stock company. In the disadvantages of joint stock company, the first disadvantage is difficulty in formation. Second one is bureaucratic administration. Third one is lack of personal touch. Fourth one is excessive government control. Fifth one is concentration of economic power and wealth. Sixth one is undue or reckless speculation in shares. Lack of motivation, delay in policy taking, delay in policy decisions, incapable management and fraudulent tactics, no business secrecy, conflicts of interest, limited suitability. So all these are the advantages or disadvantages of a joint stock company. Let us discuss some of the points in depth. The disadvantages, that is difficulty in formation. The formation of joint stock company involves too many legal formalities. A number of legal documents have to be prepared and filled with numerous authorities before a company can start its business. So it requires the services of specialists such as a chartered accountant, company secretaries, etc. So, a large number of authorities are required to be approached for capital formation. Therefore, in the process of formation of a joint stock company is time consuming and expensive. So, that's why it has become one of the disadvantage in joint stock company. And the next point is bureaucratic administration. A bureaucratic administration means a company form of organization does not enjoy flexibility of operations. The actual administration of a company is in the hands of paid officers. They have no proprietary interest of the company such, since it is not a personal organization. Next, move on to the next point, that is a lack of personal touch. A company organization lacks a personal touch with its various stakeholders such as customers, employees, etc., which is a prominent feature of simpler forms of organization. An employee feels that he is working for a machine and not his personal well being is of secondary importance in relation to profit. Large companies often tend to become even larger, makes its functioning more complex and widening the gap between labor and the management. And the next disadvantage is excessive government control. The government exercises strict control over the joint stock companies. Joint stock companies are regulated by the government through the Companies Act and various other legislations and statutory bodies like the SEBI in particular. Public limited companies are required to adhere to various legal formalities as provided by the Companies Act and other legislations. The next point is concentration of economic power and wealth. A joint stock company is a large business organization having a huge resources. This gives a lot of economic and other power to the persons who manage the company. Any misuse of such power creates unhealthy conditions in the society. It also results in a number of social evils such as concentration of economic power, hostile takeovers, creation of monopolies, exploitation of the workers, consumers, investors. The next point is lack of motivation. The ownership and management of the company is separate. It is not possible for the shareholders to run a company because of large numbers, also because they are scattered. Therefore, the company organization does not give managed by the directors and paid officials. One cannot expect them to look after the interest of the company, which was much enthusiasm as the proprietors do. The next point is delay in policy decisions. Generally, all major policy decisions in a company are taken by the board of directors at the board meeting of the company. Further, the company has to fulfill certain procedural formalities before making policy decisions and implementing them. These procedures are time consuming and therefore may delay the action on the decisions. Sometimes such delay in decisions and consequent actions may cause a company to suffer heavy losses. Is known as delay in policy decisions. And the next point is incapable management and fraudulent tactics. There are fraudulent promoters who promote a companies, collect money from people and use such money for their personal benefit. Such fraudulent companies make poor and investors suffer. Sometimes the management of the company may prove to be incapable of performing its duties. It may misuse the company's property, goods, and money for its personal benefit and may harm the interest of the shareholders and create a panicky among the investors. The next point is no business secrecy. A company form of business organization cannot enjoy business secrecy since it has to publish its books of accounts annually. As per the Companies Act, it is obligatory for the company to keep its investors informed about its various activities and performance. At the same time, the company also needs to file all the information with the register of the companies. The next point is conflicts of interest. A company consists of large number of stakeholders, that is creditors, consumers, workers, government, and so on. These groups have their own vested interest in the company. Hence, there are frequent conflicts between the members of the management and consumers, management and employees, and also among different categories of shareholders. These conflicts adversely affect the functioning of goodwill of the company. The last point is limited suitability is one of the disadvantage. A company form of organization is not suitable for small scale business where the quick decisions are to be taken and changes in the market conditions, fashion, taste and preferences of the consumers and the government policies need to be respond quickly is known as a limited suitability.